If there was one physical subject, one material subject that we should focus on, in my opinion, it is very clear that the head of the snake is the financial system. We can argue till the end of time about who runs the world. Is it the Jesuits? Is it the reptilians? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the Freemasons? We can go on and on and on and on about this. But I don't think it is reasonable to even begin arguing about the mechanism that is used to exert this control. The mechanism is finance. The whole point of finance is to indebt, otherwise to enslave. What is a mortgage? I mean, what does that stand for? It's a death grip. So when you get a mortgage, you have a death grip held over you because you are in debt. You don't even own the house. The bank owns the house that loans you the money to buy the house, unless you're fortunate enough to have all the money to buy it outright. And even then, you can be taxed by the government, and if you fail to keep up with those taxes, the government can then take it from you. The whole system is based on a financial fraud, which effectively takes the power that we have, and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance. With the infinite supply of money that we have allowed them to take, they have literally an infinite supply of money, and with that money, and from their psychopathic point of view, they have bought everything and everyone who can be bought. So those of us who cannot be bought, because we operate on a level that goes way beyond the material, we are not rewarded for such behavior, we are punished for such behavior. And the most slovenly, disgustingly criminal, pedophilia, corrupt moral individuals, those are the ones that are rewarded in this system, which is upside down. We reward the pedophiles, we reward the corrupt, we reward the liars, we reward the people with no morals at all, and usually we compromise them under this system in terms of maybe a videotape. Maybe Barack Obama is gay. Maybe we have videotape of him having sex with another man. Perhaps some other acts that may be not so popular amongst many of the electorate. Or maybe we have videos of political leaders having sex with little boys or little girls. If I was in charge of the world and I was a psychopath and completely drunk on my own power, you can bet damn sure that's what I would.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Way Jose. Today I am joined by my good friend Clint Russell. I played that edit today. I'm sorry, it is a little bit on the longer side, but my old video editor, who many of you guys know if you follow the lore of this show, did go to jail for murder recently. Still kind of waiting on maybe more information on that to pass on. But that was one of his last, I think, personal edits he worked on. It wasn't even show related. And I just felt like it was kind of the perfect edit for this snapshot in time, considering everything that goes on. And in a weird way, it kind of even more perfectly, I think, perfectly fits into the topic that we are here to discuss today. Now, as I mentioned, my friend Clint is back today. Now, he is a podcaster much like me. He is more of the interviewer type. We're not like authors or everyone thing. Every now and then we have a thing, and like we have like my Oklahoma City bomb or Detroit. We're like, oh, we're about to go on a tour, and I think my buddy Clint's getting ready to go on a tour, and that's what I'm bringing him on for. We're talking about Palantir. I think he's ready to get learned up. He's talked about spread the word of how fucked Palantir is, and I think it's perfectly on brand for a fella with a name like Liberty Lockdown that's trying to still hold on to the name. So let's go ahead and bring Clint in here. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Do you feel like you're perfectly on brand jumping on Palantir? Because I think it fits perfectly with the Liberty Lockdown brand. How about you?
Yeah, I mean that's never the intention with what I do, but
I know.
I just
we gotta stay on brand, baby.
Yeah, I mean there's plenty of things that are locking our liberty down. So I think the show name will always apply. But yeah, Palantir. It just basically it came on my radar. I don't know, a year or two ago. And I didn't really give it much credence because it was like, sure, it was kind of a concerning AI hybrid with military-industrial complex type of deal. But I figured it's not the only one. I figured, the hype about, Thiel and his relationship to J.D. Vance and how Palantir might find its way into the halls of power with a Trump, second presidency or presidential term. I thought that was kind of overhyped. That was kind of Whitney Webb's beat. Very aggressively. She was very loud about it. But then once Trump got in, I started to do more research, and I came to the conclusion that Whitney is, as usual, probably right. So where would you like to start?
Oh, well, I would kind of like to give my perspective, too, because I am actually kind of in I don't know, happy is not really the right word, I guess. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. it's good in a sense that a lot of you guys are coming because of my buddies. Because I'm the agorist type, so everyone knows I don't trust the institution. I don't believe in voting, so it's not that surprising that I was knee jerk. Not really. I wasn't on the team of Kamala, but I wasn't on team. I'm nobody. I'm not playing this silly game. So like I didn't get caught up in this. So I was actually in a weird way kind of on the same wavelength of the Whitneys in a sense, but I was like, let's be real. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some lefty parapolitical type out there, but they're kind of a little bit of commies type. So it's kind of like those, like, I just reflexively don't want to be on their side, sort of.
Exactly right. That's exactly why I thought it was overstated, because they hate all corporations. So I was just like, all right, it's probably bad, but like, is it that bad?
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, it does seem like, we're having class warfare and the elites are trying to destroy us. And it's like, yeah, I agree, but like, I also think maybe you guys are, hamming this up a little bit. So, but mine came from more of a not believe them. I'm also kind of tech retarded, so it's like to finally have my in group to kind of like sort of offloading. I think a lot of my in group was kind of, I think, maybe enamored might be, or maybe cautiously optimistic about Trump might be a better way to put it. They were kind of seeing, and I think a lot of us, especially after today, I know the show, these episodes get paywalled, so it's a little bit in a time capsule, but some pretty significant stuff happened today that I think plays into all of this. And so it's kind of in this unique period in time in talking about all of this. But I guess probably maybe a good spot to start, really. I kind of lost my train of thought, and I was thinking, let's just bail and just go right to where we should start, which is probably PayPal Mafia type stuff. Because I know it was, what's his name? Pierre Vigimar, or whatever the fuck his Jeet name is. And then I know is that not it? It's something like that. I swear. What is there? I know there's some Jeet dude that's like one of the PayPal Mafia fellers. And he's the one who ended up owning the Intercept later. I just can never remember his name. I just know it's some weird Jeet shit.
Yeah.
That's all.
Now, because you said it's so weird, I can't remember it now.
I swear it's like Pierre or something, right? And it's like
Pierre Omidyar.
See, I always work on like Vigimar or something, like Pierre. Okay, yeah. So he's like the money guy, and that gets an Intercept. So that's all right. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm just trying to jog my memory who the fuck this guy is. But this all started of, I know this is a Palantir episode, is kind of what we're calling it. But I mean, really trying to even call this one thing or another, even calling it a Teal episode or a Carp episode or a Palantir. There's like so many things, and you really can. It's almost like a mission creep. Like, where the fuck do we even start covering this? I mean, we'd be remiss, I think, if we didn't at least touch on the PayPal Mafia days. But we could honestly really make this like a PayPal Mafia thing, because it almost seems like these elites. We're going to talk to Teal. They almost make these like these guys are making these revolutionary things and building off of it, and then on to the next. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. PayPal, I think in retrospect, wasn't like the internet, but I don't know. It was kind of a big deal. So it's kind of interesting seeing these guys being the formative fellas in there. Particularly, yeah.
It was the first company to find a way to really make transacting on the internet viable for normies. So that was like a huge breakthrough. I mean, and so I didn't do a deep dive on the PayPal Mafia. Like, I didn't go deep into Omidyar. I didn't go.
Yeah, that's a whole like mission creep. It's a whole other thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I focused on Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, and then obviously Elon to a lesser extent, because he's not involved with Palantir. But yeah, 1998 PayPal gets created. By 2003, it's already broken through. It's a massive success, and I think they sell it off, or they sell a stake. I don't know exactly how it works, but 2003, Peter Thiel walks away with $50 million. He parlays, I think it was 20 of his $50 million fortune, and he puts it into Palantir. And at Stanford Law, he had a roommate named Alex Karp, who's this Jewish dude. I don't know if he's practicing.
Really? I never would have guessed.
Yeah, right. I don't know if he's practicing Jewish or not, but his like.
Oh, that wasn't even a physiognomy joke. That was just his just like palpable bloodlust.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, the guy is a psychopath. I don't know that relates to all Israelis or all Jews. But
no, I don't even say that. I've heard him say stuff about the Israeli conflict, particularly. He goes hard in the paint for that shit.
He sure does.
Yeah.
So Thiel is the money guy, and he brings in Karp, who's like broke. He's got a college degree, or like a master's or a doctorate in like English studies or some liberal arts degree that would have ultimately relegated him to the poverty line, most certainly.
Thank God for his minor in murder.
Yeah, right. But he's a very smart guy. There's no doubt about that. And Thiel pours 20 million into Palantir, and then he brings in his college roommate Alex Karp to basically be the CEO, be the idea guy behind it all. And Karp is just like horrifying. And he talked that like on my episode that I did on Liberty Lockdown. If people want to check it out, there I play all these clips, so I don't have all the clips with me, but he gives these interviews and he talks about 9/11 like it happened yesterday, and he's talking about it 25 years later almost. So it was clear that like an incredibly formative moment for him, in his worldview, in his ideology, in his psychopathy, honestly, where he's just like, we're going to never ever be hit again, and we're going to be basically the most lethal military, and Palantir is going to serve that role. So that's his worldview. So very much, it's like the contrast between that and then this self-described libertarian in Peter Thiel is just utterly bizarre. But then Thiel's also got this transhumanist shit that we'll get into. But anyways, that's kind of how it starts. They parlay the money in, but this is the key thing, which I did not mention, but I should have. Yes, 20 million is brought in by Thiel to start it. 2 million minority stake is brought in by In-Q-Tel, which is the venture capital firm of the CIA.
And this is back in the Palantir days, right? So this is because there's so many different subsidiaries, this and that, and even within, which we'll get into later, even within Palantir, there's so many. It's hard to keep track of what's what.
This is the founding. So this is very important that Thiel would have had no shot. Like this company was going to die if he doesn't get the contacts and the connections that come from the In-Q-Tel minority stake. So they only brought in 2 million. Actually, no, he put in 30 million. So they put in 2, he puts in 30. So they're only a 7% minority stake of the company. But because of their contacts within the government, because of all of their access to politicians and everything else, suddenly Peter Thiel has a Rolodex in old person speak that enables the company to get off the ground. And also, in the first, I think it was at least the first 7 years, it may have even been a full decade, Palantir has no contracts with any private corporations whatsoever. It is all federal government money. So this is a fucking government company. So the fact that...
Which we'll get into that even more, which I don't know if you've heard the latest on that, but we'll get into that for sure.
I mean, we'll take it deeper. I hope you can teach me some stuff about this because that would be fun. But Elon obviously made a fortune off of government subsidies and things like that. But Thiel, like he is built on government money because Palantir is now this immense success. And it's almost entirely because of their relationship to the federal government. And now they've created a lot of revenue streams because their technology is so high level and so good that many private corporations are now utilizing it. But I'm just saying they never get to this phase if not for the relationship and the funding from the government. So it is a quasi-government enterprise.
Oh, 100%. I do want to take there was one major reason. Obviously, I think it's important to touch on the PayPal foundings, but I also, especially considering some of the major actors in play there. I know we mentioned the Pierre fellow, and we kind of goofed around about his name. I could never remember it, but he is he's an important character. As I mentioned, he later then goes on to own The Intercept. There's some intrigue with Glenn Greenwald in there, and I know there were certain sources that were burned during the time of The Intercept. So there's conspiracies that float about. So I don't know enough about Pierre. He is kind of a spooky character, but obviously Elon is where they touch bases there. Thiel and Elon were PayPal mafia homies back in the day. So that I think that's just want to establish that for the noided fellows out there that do try to map out connections and stuff. That is a thing. And you should be aware of. Did you really dig into at all really the lore of, because this is something I've been meaning to, but just haven't got around to, kind of genealogy, I don't know. Where does Thiel come from? Because I've heard rumors that there's old family connections with Thiel and from South Africa, from Thiel and Elon. Now, I have no idea if that's true, but I'm just kind of curious if there's any further connections to these two. But at the very least, I just wanted to kind of emphasize that so people are aware. I mean, Elon's a huge figure with this America Party thing going on and being part of MAGA. And so if you're someone who believes it's all Masonic theater, here are the players right here. Or even if you're just trying to figure out, conceptualize what the hell is going on, I still think it's worthwhile knowing that there are these connections at play.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I know about his upbringing, I didn't really focus on it, but it was like I think his grandfather was like a German refugee, and there was some allegations of him being tied to the Nazis, which is funny because Elon also has that lore about him. So, but as far as a connection through South Africa, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I didn't think you would, but it's worth mentioning, or at least to emphasize that there are illusions of those sort of connections, which isn't really that surprising with the way these two individuals are. But I guess let's scoot forward in time. And I don't think Elon's really all that doesn't matter all that much to this, because he's off doing his own kind of thing right now. So it's kind of hard to place him as in cahoots with anybody here. Although anything's possible. I guess whatever. But I guess let's get back to modern day Palantir. As I was kind of getting before, I got a little sidetracked. All my years of drug usage threw me off. Part of the reason why I'm excited for my in-group to be along now is there's some. I'm feel like I have some good spots about me, but I'm flagrantly retarded in lots of ways. So I need my in-group to kind of help me along and like tech things. So like, and I've had Austin to help me along, and I love Austin, bless his heart. But it means a lot of mile a minute. I'm tech retarded. I'm just like tech evil lizard people. I'm missing lots of important context here. So what in the fuck is Palantir? First off, like from a tech, like what even is this? Because I know like. Say for Promise Software scandal. People go on about that forever, and it took me forever before I even knew what the fuck Promise Software even was. I guess it was such a big deal because it was able to enable keyword searches, and so it really was just kind of the building blocks of Google, and that's why it was so revolutionary at its time. And to be able to do that and have backdoors for information for other people's databases, big deal. Now, in what way is the Palantir? Is there an easy way for dum-dums like me to understand why this is such a big deal, or is it just as simple as their connections through government contracts, and it's really not all that revolutionary?
No, I think it is fairly revolutionary.
Okay.
I'll get into specifics, but I'll give kind of the dumb version first. So basically, the idea behind the founding of Palantir was that because we got hit on 9/11, this is their story, whether you can have very different opinions about this, but their story is, well, the CIA and the FBI weren't communicating with one another, and therefore the attacks happen. So Palantir is there to fill that void. Like that was literally the purpose of the founding of Palantir, was to start to build a program that allowed for communication between, interagency communications. It's evolved a lot from there to here, but that was the idea. So Palantir creates these programs, proprietary programs that they run in-house, and they actually give you an employee. So like even when they do a contract with a private corporation, they have an employee that goes and stays in your office the entire time. So these programs are like, they're not transferable. Basically once you're bought into Palantir, you're in there for life. Like you can't run it on your own, basically. So
okay,
yeah, that's an interesting part of it. But really, like the technology itself is just simply a scraping technology with AI. So it identifies, like they have someone, whoever the employee is that gets placed into your corporation, they will sit down with either the head of technology or the CEO or the CFO or whatever, and they'll say, what problems do you have? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to target a certain market? Are you trying to base a new marketing program based off of your existing customer base? Are you looking for satisfaction surveys or whatever fucking thing you want, right? And they create the program specifically to scrape that data that, like, these old corporations, they don't have any technological savvy. They're basically you, right? They reach out to Palantir and they say, hey, we need help with this. And then Palantir helps. That's what they do. I mean, that's basically it. They take their data from their database that isn't being utilized in any sort of technologically advanced way, and they advance them. So that's what they do for private corporations, and that's also what they do now across agencies. So from FBI to DHS to CIA to FBI, they take all of the data, they cross-reference it, and then they make it utilizable by these agencies.
Okay, so honestly, it's funny I brought the Promise Software scandal, but I think there's kind of a parallel here. The Promise was kind of like a like I said, it was like databases, and it was allowing them to kind of interact with each other, and then they were able to essentially do keyword searches. Sounds like you're getting certain parameters. We given parameters for X thing we want. I mean, it can be used to so many wide things, but essentially a multifaceted request of some sort, something that's got multiple, a wide range of parameters that come to play, and it's going to require probably some sort of advanced thinking from something to put all these things together. What's the most intelligent thing? Which sounds a little bit convoluted, but isn't really that crazy. I mean, it's what we do every day. It's just basic problem solving, but pretty revolutionary. I can understand from a technological perspective. And also, it is one of those things that you could see, and you're like, oh, this is kind of like a no-brainer, and very much similar to like a promise thing. You're like, oh, okay, cool. This is very simple. This is really cool, but you don't really think about like what the negative, like what taking the infinite ad absurdum, or whatever the fuck the term is. If you take this to its absurd conclusion, what is this? And with Promise One, you're like, you take, this is literally Captain America Winter Soldier. Like, I don't know if you ever watched that movie, at the end, there's that literally, they construct that fucking, all these ships that literally operate off, I think, some sort of fucking AI that has selected all of the human targets within the world that will essentially be any sort of issue to the coming one world government or whatever the fuck. And, based on whatever given factors, they're the highest level threats, and they get taken out all at once. I know that sounds crazy and kooky, but it's kind of literally exactly what that is, and especially when you get into the kill stuff, which that's literally what it is.
So you asked for the dumbed down version, so I gave you that. That's basically like the primary product that they sell to in the corporate world. What they do on the government level is far creepier, and this is obviously where the libertarian side of me starts to agree with the Whitney Webb side, because now this is like creepy shit that's happening because of the government, or for the government, or through the government. So you want me to just read you off some of the programs that they have, because they're fucking horrible.
Sure, you just go for it. Yeah, I mean,
So Gotham is a platform initially developed for government and defense sectors, particularly used by the U.S. intelligence community and DoD. Gotham leverages AI to integrate and analyze data for counterterrorism, fraud detection, and predictive policing, enabling real-time situational awareness and decision-making. So again, this is basically just taking in data on the battlefield, but instead of what they would have done historically, which is to have a real-time human analyst, it's run through AI, and then it's fed back to the battlefield to the general or even the soldiers at the lowest level that green lights behavior and attack strategies and things of that nature. So it advances the military awareness, readiness, game planning, everything else, but it's AI, and it obviously has potential for errors. That's very scary, but let's keep going. Foundry is an AI-powered operating system for enterprises. This is the one that I described earlier. This Foundry enables organizations to integrate data, run large language models, and automate decision-making. It's widely used in commercial sectors like healthcare and manufacturing, as well as public health initiatives like the National COVID Cohort Collaborative. So it was also used for the COVID rollout. So that was another big government contract they got. And it also was used for, basically would have been used for the vaccine mandates, the health passes, and whether or not your life was ruined forever would have been Palantir basically using AI and all sorts of biometrics. It would have been terrible. Anyways, they also have an AIP, which is the artificial intelligence platform, launched in 2023, focuses on generative AI applications, allowing enterprises to deploy autonomous AI agents for rapid decision-making and productivity gains. It's noted for its rapid adoption, with over 100 enterprises using it and a significant role in Palantir's commercial growth. Apollo is a mission control platform for autonomous software deployment. Apollo supports Palantir's AI mesh architecture. It enables scalable AI-driven operations across cloud and edge environments, critical for real-time application industries like battery production and public health. I don't really understand that one, but I do. Basically, what I do understand about it is that it's the actual data, or excuse me, the actual programs that you put in machinery on the battlefield. So that's what the Apollo side of things are. And then lastly, the Tactical Intelligence Targeting Access Node, which is Titan, is an AI-enabled mobile ground station system developed for the U.S. Army. Titan uses AI to collect data from space sensors, enhancing warfare strategy and strike targeting accuracy. It represents Palantir's expansion into hardware-integrated AI solutions. Now, there's a whole bunch of others that I'm not going to go into.
Real quick, I did actually have one of the patrons request some specific ones. I don't think you mentioned Nectar, and they wanted to know about Nectar, and they thought that was important. Unless you did say it, and I missed the name.
No, I didn't say it, but I actually Let me look it up because I'm not.
They want to know about Nectar and then Carbine, about how Carbine has access to all the phone data. Although I don't think that's through Promise. Carbine, I believe, if I remember correct, that's Ehud Barak's thing, right? And that was, I don't think that technically is Palantir, but may not even recall. The Carbine, I'm pretty sure that was an Ehud Barak thing or whatever. Maybe it's not ringing a bell for you. But
sorry, no, I'm
okay.
reading. So
okay. Oh, you're good.
I just want to give the answer to the
no, you're good.
The patron. So Nectar, the description is Nectar is an AI-powered intelligence system developed by Palantir in collaboration with UK police forces, notably Bedfordshire. I'm not going to read all these fucking stupid shires. As part of a pilot project, it integrates approximately 80 data streams, including traffic, camera data, and intelligence files, into a single platform to create detailed profiles of suspects, victims, witnesses, and vulnerable individuals. I mean, this is basically Minority Report.
Yeah.
The system processes sensitive personal information such as race, political opinions, health, and trade union membership, aiming to enhance crime prevention and investigations, particularly for serious organized crime. Yeah, sure.
I don't like the Nectar term though. That implies it's some sort of honeypot type vibe to me. Like, is that what you're
just the data is so sweet.
Yeah, I know that's one thing. That's one topic I do want to get into later. Some of the creepy names, which this more goes to other stuff. But Carbine, that's not one of Palantir's, is it? Someone he mentioned that. Okay, all right, Carbine, because I believe that's the one that was. Maybe I'm wrong. Isn't that what Ehud Barak or maybe it was one of the former Israel prime ministers, I believe, went in on cahoots or some shit. Or maybe I'm mixing something up there.
Partnerships. I can't remember all those details, but
there's something spooky there, I think.
Well, it says there's no clear reference to a Palantir program explicitly named Carbine in the provided search results. Could be a misnomer, code name. No. I've heard of Carbine.
Yeah, it's some sort of, I don't know, is it Carbine 911 or something? Is it some sort of emergency services thing or something? It's phone data following 911 calls, and I swear it was the thing that former Prime Minister, I think there was some sort of Epstein connection as well. But whatever.
Well, there's a lot, but
yeah,
basically, like where it gets super creepy is that because of I think it's the Apollo, but it could be Titan. Anyways, the AI analyst aspect of this literally green lights execution. Like it actually gives, based off of facial recognition, based off of biometrics, they analyze, and they've been using this in Gaza for over a year now, where they analyze and they, based off of I think they can do it all the way down to DNA traces. Like it's fucking super scary. But they have drone technology, obviously, that's capable of killing people. And these drones with their cameras, if they have facial recognition, if they see someone who has been greenlit by Palantir through their AI program, it has a green light, theoretically, to just take them out. Now, there are supposed to be, firewalls. There's supposed to be a human analyst that ultimately green lights before anyone gets killed. Is that actually happening? I don't know. No one really knows.
The handful of the World Kitchen Workers, I think, who got shot in that one vehicle that one time by the fucking Palantir murder drone. I don't know.
For that episode.
Yeah. Oh, you were? Oh shit. What a weird small world. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess whoever was watching that drone was pretty fucked up, I guess. Or maybe it was just all Hamas, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
But I mean, this is what I'm saying is when you're talking about tens of thousands of innocent people who have been killed in Gaza, like by anyone's estimate, except for the most psychopathic liars, you're talking about a good chunk of those, I think, are undeniably being taken out by Palantir technology. So now this is not just some commercial application AI like Grok or whatever the fuck. Like this is a killing machine. Like this is an artificial intelligence killing machine. Totally autonomous, potentially. It could be. So very, very concerning. I mean, as soon as I realized that, I was like, oh, fuck. I need to dig deeper. So that's kind of what sparked my interest.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into the modern day with this one. I think let's go ahead and make the connection from today is July 7th. Today we just found out that I want to say it was actually late last night. Maybe it was early this morning. There was reports of some memo that Axios got a hold of, I believe, that essentially was, there were just kidding, no Epstein stuff. We can't, no evidence, weren't able to get nothing, didn't do nothing. I guess he did do something, but no one else did nothing. But Epstein and Galison So that's where we're at now. But to tie this into Peter Thiel, I just thought it was pretty funny. I saw this tweet, so I'm sharing this as kind of a perfect little connection. Eric Weinstein quote tweeted, it says, "Manage reality, it shocks me every time," to the Axios thing. And then I responded, "This guy is Peter Thiel's money manager," because that's what Eric Weinstein is. And then I connected a few different articles. Here's the New York Times. Jeffrey Epstein invested with Peter Thiel, and his estate is reaping millions. Which we'll come back to this one later when we touch on some of the creepy names, which I don't expect. You're not nerdy enough to even probably know why this one's significant clip, but I'll explain it to you. It's some nerd shit. But this is Mr. Epstein, the late financier and sex offender, started by putting $40 million into Valor Ventures, a firm backed by Mr. Thiel. Today, that investment is worth about $170 million. I also shared an article that said, from Rolling Stone, said Epstein's calendar contained multiple meetings with Peter Thiel. And then just for good measure, I thought it was fun, just going to drive the point home. Shared the little thing from Reddit. It says Peter Thiel's model boyfriend died weeks after New York Eve's showdown between billionaire and husband. For those who are unaware, Peter Thiel is a homosexual and he is married to a man. He had put his little boy toy up in Claire Bronfman's old house. For those who are unaware who Claire Bronfman is, I'll go and connect that dot. She was one of the people who pled guilty and the Nixium cult, the sex slave thing that all the elites were rolling through. Her dad, also, to even go even fucking further with this, her dad, Claire Bronfman's dad, is Edgar Bronfman, who was in Ghislaine's Black Book. He's also the chairman of the United Jewish Communities and the United Jewish Appeal, Council of Jewish Federations, and United Israel Appeal. His brother, Charles Bronfman, is in Lex Wexner's mega group of Jewish billionaires and is involved with the same Jewish lobbies as Edgar, a chairman of United Jewish Communities. Chairs also funds Birthright Israel. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention this, but Peter Thiel basically owns the vice president.
Yeah,
so thoughts, Clint?
Let me back that up because so when JD Vance ran for the Senate, for those that don't know, like to get a congressional seat, it usually costs about $4 to $5 million, and to get a Senate seat, it's usually double that. Well, $5 million, or maybe even more. Sometimes it's 10, 20, 30 million, depending on how important the Senate seat is. But Thiel gave JD Vance $5 million to get his Senate seat. So for those that don't know, JD Vance had no political career to speak of. He was this author of a book that ended up becoming a movie, and then he ran.
To be fair, he probably didn't write that himself. So.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But
I'm just teasing him. There's also rumors that say, where the fuck did he come up from being such an author? A lot of people. So
I know, I agree. It's very fucking strange to have this like how many authors are one-hit wonders that end up becoming the vice president of the United States of America, like
going to a Netflix special well before even because I know I didn't even know who the fuck JD Vance was when I found out he was, and I'm like, he has a fucking Netflix movie already.
I know, dude. It's super strange. The only reason I knew about him is because he would regularly feature on Tucker Carlson, which is like the only corporate news that I watched back in the day. And JD Vance would always be on there, and he would have him on to talk about his Senate run. So Tucker supported him and assisted him. But yeah, Thiel signed a check for $5 million to basically jumpstart to really, it's kind of like the same concept as In-Q-Tel. Palantir doesn't exist without that seed capital from In-Q-Tel. Well, JD Vance doesn't exist without the seed capital from Peter Thiel.
JD, I don't know if you're aware of this. I don't think I can't remember. I don't remember the dates on that enough. But anyways, he changed his name. I'm sure you're aware of that. I was about to say I thought that was something attributed to Thiel. I may have misremembered that. I know for certain that he claimed that he attributed Thiel to his Catholic conversion. He became a Catholic in college. He attributed that to Thiel, the degenerate homosexual I just told you about, that's married to a man and had a boy toy that he put up and has vague connections to sex cults. He's also somehow some sort of weird libertarian. Just throwing it all out there, but I forgot where I was even going with that. But
Yeah.
Wow, shit. I don't know. Any thoughts about this? About I don't know. It's just wild. All the weird connections. I mean, you follow Vance just seems like a created person. I mean, even up to including the meme, manufactured meme campaign, which I'll be honest, it felt organic. I loved it. It was great. I still love the Vance memes, but I'm not gonna lie. Around the time I saw the Vance memes, I was like, I think he's a made person. I think he's made. He's Obama. This is what he is. He's Obama. I'm a little bit. I don't know. I don't trust the guy at all, and I think anyone who does is a little bit of a silly goose. So,
Yeah. I mean, he says all the right things, or
yes.
not all, but like he's very polished for a guy who really comes out of nowhere. He was also, I think he was college roommates with Vivek, or in the same
Yes.
fraternity or some shit like that. Vivek is also this guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. As you know, I've been very friendly with Vivek, so I'm not trying to shit on these guys. I just don't like.
You like it too much.
They're both the same age. They're both like 38, 39 years old. They both kind of come out of nowhere. They both come out of, I think it was Stanford. Like they're all Stanford law attorneys. I think all of them are. I think
JD came from Harvard at least for a portion of the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, but oftentimes you'll get your undergrad from Harvard and go somewhere else for law.
Yeah,
but anyways, point being, they're all like blue blood Ivy League guys, even though JD Vance comes from like Appalachian background, abject poverty, right?
Did he though?
Well, this is what I'm saying though. It's just like the arc is perplexing. It's like
there's a reason I mentioned Harvard. Skull and Bones, baby. That's what I'm telling you. Created Harvard, Skull and Bones. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that's for sure, but if you connect dots, created person. This guy came out of this area. Pierre Thiel, all this money backing it up. I don't know. I'm connecting dots, and you seem like a created person to me, particularly. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I'm just trying to basically back up the why. The why is weird. So yeah, I think all the way across the board, like especially because both Vivek, who was like he wasn't very good on the lockdowns, the vaccines early on, like he was making money off that shit, and then he pivots hard, and like a year later, but a lot of people did, and this is why I couldn't like really write him off. He basically pivots very hard. JD Vance did the same thing. He was calling for, I think he was calling Trump a Nazi and doing all sorts of wild shit. Like he was basically a never Trumper, and then suddenly, because of Thiel and the Elon backing, somehow JD Vance gets slotted in as his VP in the second go around. Mike Pence gets shelved, and then you're like, all right, well maybe that like this guy's a very gifted politician. Maybe he just wants to have an heir apparent for the movement, and he thinks this is the guy. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel right. It feels very strange. And then what really Whitney was screaming to the highest level that Palantir is going to get so much power in the Trump administration the second go around, and I'm like, they already got a lot of power. Like they like so much of their fucking money is from government contracts. I'm like, how much more power can they get? But then you start to hear about in the big beautiful bill, there's this 10-year moratorium for any AI regulation across all state levels. So like total violation of the 10th Amendment. That did get taken out, I should say. But like when I see that, I'm like, oh, that was fucking written by Palantir. Like they want to have no AI regulations on the state level so that they can just run buck wild for the next decade. Because once they get their fucking hooks in after 10 years, it'll be too late. Like you won't be able to do a fucking thing about it. So that was, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just
well, you kind of naturally brought into a good little one of the side points I wanted to get on at some point, anyways. One little thing I teased earlier, which I wasn't sure if you were aware of this. I figured maybe you were, but apparently the U.S. government decided to make some of the OpenAI, the Meta, the Palantir, some of those top execs from there. They are now legitimately lieutenant colonels in the military. They were formally assigned to be lieutenant colonels in a secretive Pentagon unit, Detachment 201, the Executive Innovation Corps. Their mission, to make the armed forces leaner, smarter, and more lethal. These are the same people behind. Okay, so this is just obviously it's a post, but I mean this is something I covered on the morning show not too long ago, and yeah, there's some legit articles on this. So this is a thing. This is and they've gone so far. We always go, all these government contracts. Oh, they may as well be the government. No, they are the fucking government. They have crossed They have gone so into such a dark shade of gray that they are just fucking black, and they are the government. So I don't know. I mean, you couldn't be any more on the fucking nose here.
Yeah, man. Pretty concerning. I don't have anything to add. I'm just like,
it's like, yeah, there isn't really even commentary to be had. It's just, yeah. Like, what do you do with like, it's like, this is where we're at now. It's just kind of, there's so much going on. You just point to go, what the fuck? Well, actually, that reminds me. That brings up a good point. We were talking about Vance. I find there to be some weird irony, and I think there might be some prescience to this in what's going on now. Some weird irony in the Vance vice presidency. Because he was kind of portrayed as mega based and super fucking cool, and the new spirit of the party. But we're saying he seems really, really contrived. What is the purpose of a VP aside from at least if you're someone who's supposed to be a dark horse candidate or some shit? The purpose of your VP, generally speaking, should be to keep you from getting fucking killed. Looking back, I know a lot of people were like, maybe he's not the greatest. We'd better have a Massey. But a lot of people were like, pretty good. Vance, pretty based. I don't fucking know about that now. If you were concerned about not getting fucking murdered, I don't think I'd want. I struggle to think of any other person in the world I would not want standing next to me right now as President Donald Trump than JD Vance. And especially considering all the Epstein shit and everything, and then you have this handsome, young, articulate, I don't know, probably gay politician that is ready to just jump in and just, like, I honestly, the way my head pictures this right now, I see the deep state is planning stuff. I honestly think that they're kind of either anticipating Trump completely burning his social capital with some of the crazy moves he's pulled as of late, and then somehow something happening and swapping NJD in there, whether that's assassination, impeachment, whatever, or just accepting that the AOCs of the world are what's going to take over next and start planting their seeds there. Because JD Vance is really their only play, the deep state, I think, particularly. I think all the things going on right now, particularly the Epstein, the Iran, so much shit, I really feel like it's almost astounding how much, especially as much as these people like to talk about a mandate, how much they've just fucking blown it. Like, and how in 5 to 10 years we're going to be with like some center left Tim Dillon types, and that's going to be the where the milieu we seem to be fit into Tim at that
Dillon
point.
Types, Tim Dillon type sounds great.
Yeah, but that's my point. I see that is great. But my point is that the MAGA has blown it so fucking hard that's like, like I felt like there was this period of time like the MAGA, sort of types were kind of the cool kids, but they've blown it so fucking hard.
Oh, yeah,
Trump's burned so much credibility that I think the new it will be in 5 to 10 years will be like center left Tim Dillon types essentially.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Yeah. But yes, I think that JD Vance is clearly the heir apparent, and I think that he was hand selected for this role. And honestly, like the more time passes and the more Trump just kicks me in the fucking teeth, I'm starting to think that like Trump is also a Trojan horse, like for this cause, for this end. This is not about, his legacy or any shit like that. It's like, no, he's going to serve his role as the stopgap to get to JD Vance, who's the guy that they really want. Like that's kind of how it feels to me.
Yeah.
But I will say this, based off of how fucking disastrously his second term is going so far.
I don't know how they do it.
I think JD Vance could be in trouble.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just interesting.
Yeah. All right. One more. I have one more question after this. I really wanted to ask you, but I did. On the creepy names. I always like to bring this up. I don't know. This does kind of tie into. I'm not gonna. I said this was my last question, but I just opened up the transhumanist question in my head just now. But I was thinking about the transhumanist thing, and when you think of, I was thinking about the Antichrist thing, and I find there to be kind of hilarious in a weird, fucked up way that he's doing this. Anyone's seen the clip knows what I'm talking about. Him he goes through this interview. I watched it recently. He goes through this interview describing, theoretically, what the Antichrist would be like. And then, I forget the name's guy, Duthit or whatever. The interviewer asks him, they're like, well, wouldn't it make sense for essentially you to be the Antichrist? And it's just like this bitter irony of like him describing all the things to be an Antichrist. And it's like you are weirdly kind of perfectly describing what could be a situation where you could be the Antichrist. And it's like not seeing it. And I've brought up the point multiple times. This interview felt like when I come home when I was a kid, and I would come home blitzed from smoking weed with my friends in high school, and my mom would be like, What were you just doing? Where did you come from?" And I'd be like, "I was smoking weed with Bob." And be like, "Ha ha ha," like just, and then she'd be like, saying it like as if it was ridiculous, and she'd be like, and in my head I was like, "Fucking nailed it." She doesn't think I did it, and like in her head she's like, "That dude's stoned as fuck." That's kind of what this felt like to me. Like he's like, "Well, what would an antichrist be like?" And you're like, "Dude, you. Right. And that's kind of what all these names, a lot of these different names that I see, especially someone like me, I am in my heart a nerd. I'm very much a nerd guy. I grew up reading all the Lord of the Rings. I've read the Silmarillion. Like, I'm a nerd. Like that, I put on muscle when I was a teenager, and even then I'm short as fuck, so I'm still kind of a nerd. So like, life didn't deal me great traits there. So I kind of, smart was my thing for a while. But one thing obviously would be names. Would be what's the one? Palantir. Obviously, we've been talking about Palantir. Is the seeing stone that Saruman in Lord of the Rings uses, who's notoriously an evil wizard. If you know the books, I'm pretty sure it's either Morgoth or Sauron. I'm pretty sure Sauron, the Palantir, was literally corrupted with an evil presence by like an evil lord. And is used to see the world by one of the antagonists. So it's like not even really trying.
The key thing to remember too is like the Palantir enables you to see a future that always ends up disastrously, though.
Yes.
Like, so even even if you're trying to use it for like, oh, this is cool, it's a seeing stone, like it ends up disastrously every time you use it. So what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. And then we have Valar Ventures, which I said we'd come back to earlier. That's the one that the Epstein, I think they over like 4x their investment and invested tens of millions of dollars into Valar Ventures, which was Thiel's, venture capital somethings or whatever the fuck. But the Valar in Lord of the Rings are the gods on Earth. There's like an ultimate god called Iluvatar, and then there's these gods that live on Earth, and that's what the Valar are the gods. So Valar Ventures, this would be, the gods. And I don't know, especially if you're someone who's a little bit Epstein pilled, a little bit freaky. What do you mean you think you're a god? I also found it funny that they named recently Anduril founder, which I'm pretty sure Anduril is something too. I forget. I think it's one of the swords, but whatever. I'm not going to go into that. But Palmer Luckey and Peter Thiel are launching Erebor, which is a digital bank built for crypto and tech startups. And Erebor is where Smaug was in The Hobbit, and that's where everyone died, and he stole their money. So I don't know. I mean, it was just a fun aside. This guy, he's not even really trying. He literally is leaning so fucking hard into the villain archetype that's not really even funny at all. I don't know.
Yeah,
have you any thoughts on that? Is he just telling us he's the bad guy? I just don't even know what to do with this. It's so on the nose, it's ridiculous. It's almost as if it's like a zoomer that's like laden in levels of irony that I'm like, I don't know. I think it's just a troll. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think he intends it to be ironic, but I think everybody else that's looking at it is like, no, dude, this is actually really fucking scary, and you should stop doing that.
Yeah, like I literally think you're the Antichrist, dude.
Yeah, so
and I'm not even religious.
But I just want to like point out that when he's asked this question about, it sounds like you're actually ushering in the tools of technocracy that would be utilized by the Antichrist. And he's like, well, I don't think I'm doing that.
No, I'm definitely not.
It's like, that's not a very bold defense. And then he's asked if he wants humanity to survive. And it takes him like, no bullshit, 20 seconds of hemming and hawing before he and then like the guy has to ask him it again before he goes, yes.
Yeah, but and then he has to like take a moment to like quell the demon trying to escape inside.
Yeah.
That weird noise he makes when he pauses.
Exactly.
Listen, you'll hear it next time. It's a demon trying to escape. That's what that is.
I'm telling you,
he's got to like reassert his like higher brain function over the demon, and then like, all right, we're back in it. That's what that is.
Dude, I'm telling you though, like that when he couldn't answer that question, like if anybody ever asks you, do you want humanity to survive? It should never take you more than a 0.2 seconds to say yes. And it took him 20 seconds. And it like what I took away from that is like this guy is so, just intellectually fucked that he's so in the technocratic mindset that he genuinely believes that the advancement technology, like he believes that human beings, I forget who that philosopher who originally coined it, Rogan references it constantly, that human beings are basically meant to create the technology that replaces us. And he's he's committed to that ideology. Like, he believes that strongly, that we are creating the technology that will ultimately replace us. And I think that he has a belief that they will ultimately, collaborate or combine him into this technology. But at the same time, I think what he's saying is, if the technology ultimately doesn't need us, well, then it's just going to go on its own. And that's okay with him. And I just find that super fucking disturbing. Like, who gives a shit about technology if we don't exist? Like, what are you doing?
Oh, I agree. I think I have a strong intuition, and can't really back this up. I'd tell people maybe to go check out Dana Dudaw's work on this. When you get into the process, which if you've ever heard them, that's who Manson had some connections with. There's you get into who's the guy who wrote the Manson book? I forget his name. Bob O'Neill, Chaos, or Tom O'Neill.
I knew it was O'Neill.
Yeah, he has a weird connection with Teal, and there's odd things that have been pulled from that book. I mean, I'd have to. There's a few. I could pull some threads and stuff I really want to do and show people all the different. I can't really pull it up, but there's some weird connections between the process and him, and it's a little bit concerning. And that is a very much this anti-human ideology is what the process is very much. So, and I think it ties into a lot of this new age technological type stuff that you're referencing with this AI belief and stuff. There's a lot of weirdness going on with something, and it glows to me. I'm a little bit concerned when you see the Teals of the world. They have this almost this philosophy of like and it's weird because I guess in a sense, philosophically speaking, I'm kind of an egoist, but at the same time, this is like egoism run amok, like egoism retarded. Like these people are, I don't know, this idea of we can't die. My ego is so important that I must, and it's just, it's aggrandization of yourself. It's and it is self-worship. It's weird. That seems to be where this comes from when you really dig into what he's talking about. Essentially the transhumanism, the desire to not die. It's like these people are terrified of death, and I don't want to die as much as the next person. But I know, I just think as a human, you kind of have to just come to terms, whether that's through religion or without it, that you're going to die. And I think they're, I don't know what it is. It seems to be, these people seem to be too smart for some of the ways they act, almost as if, I have theories when it comes to elites that there's some sort of trauma thrown in the mix. So maybe we're looking at trauma cycles playing out amongst, intellectual elites. Because it's like, how are you not getting this? How are you not understanding that you can still, believe in something like an egoism, and still not have to be, so consumed with consumerism and devouring the next thing or whatever, as opposed to, I don't know, having children, enjoying life, any one of those things, creating a legacy. Although I guess he is creating a legacy, but they get so caught up in creating a legacy that they become monsters. I don't know. I guess it's preferable. I don't know.
No, that's exactly right. But I think that is the driving factor from an ego standpoint, is that these guys view themselves as like
gods, valor,
modern gods. Like they're going to, like, yes, it's kind of sad that human beings are going to no longer exist, but like, we are the human beings that created the next thing. And I think that to them is like better than being a father to a child, like, who will eventually die too.
Yeah.
And maybe you're like, I'm going to have an eternal legacy that I created the technology that replaced humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think oftentimes they have this kind of, I don't know, just this really dark outlook that someone's going to do it. So I would rather be the guy that does. And I'm just like,
it's like an out of alignment thing. It's like a misalignment thing. Because as you're kind of getting at, like, they don't care really about making, like, they care about this ego, this legacy, but like, I conceptualize, it's Matt Walsh described this recently, where he was talking about the idea of like concentric, your responsibilities, like working out from you. Like the thing I can control most is myself. So it makes sense to concern myself most of that. And then from there it goes my family. But it also means I care most about what my family think. So, but there's like, that's where I'm kind of getting, there's a misalignment. When you see these elites, they don't really have that in their life. And they're so consumed with, passing something onto the world that they haven't really created anything of value to them, around them. So it's like they're trying to impress the world when the world doesn't really fucking care about them, frankly. So I don't know. I think it causes all sorts of problems, which I think, you look at Teal and he's pretty fucked. So like, I don't know. just look at him. I mean, it really is as simple. Just look at the guy. I mean, it really is. This guy, lecturing about the Antichrist. I don't even have to comment on anything in the content of his speech. I can just go, look at this motherfucker. You know what I mean? I don't know. By the way, Ross Liberty's in here. It says their beliefs are literally rooted in Satanists. Source: I was a Satanist from 10+ years. It's all very similar. So I don't know.
Yeah,
and if you have any thoughts on that, I do have a final question. We're kind of just spinning in circles here, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I'm just kind of philosophizing about his thoughts because it does escape me. It's just bizarre to me. It's a bizarre way to think. It just seems stupid,
Yeah, well, I do think that there is, it's a weird thing for me to say, but it does feel as if there's like a deep lack of a belief in a higher power, in God, and therefore it's okay to be, the replacement God. Which is oftentimes Christians' critiques of atheists, is that like, well, if you don't have God in your life, then it leads you astray. And I think that there's really interesting, examples of that happening amongst the technocrats, amongst the tech elites, amongst the Palantir leadership. Like I would guess that despite Alex Karp being Jewish heritage-wise, I would imagine he describes himself as an atheist. Thiel, I don't know how he describes himself. He talks a lot about religion. He talks a lot about the Antichrist. So I think
he's a Jordan Peterson atheist. Is what I think.
Kind of like that. But I think he's
I don't
tormented. No, I really do. I feel like he's tormented. The fact that you're creating this technology that is so obviously capable of destroying the world, and you're also obsessed with the idea of the Antichrist, tells me that internally, whether you've already rationalized this to yourself to justify your actions, you are genuinely challenged by this. Like, you are thinking about this regularly. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting.
Okay, here's my final question, because I do think it almost needs to be asked, and I don't want this at all come off like I'm rubbing your nose in this at all, because most of the stuff's a little unimportant. We started, kind of talking about how I'm kind of glad you guys are jumping in on this, but there has been, we talked a little about the Trump administration, and it's kind of like there's been a disillusionment. And we're talking about Palantir here, so I think it makes sense. We talk about kind of, you fell for it again type deal. Now, I think the new thing, and we talked about this a little bit on your episode, the new thing, I think, is immigration. And I don't know, I'm kind of seeing it now. I mean, we look at Palantir. What does everyone jump to? They go, oh, herder, we need the Palantir immigration, or we need this because herder immigration. And obviously there's all the other stuff, that's without even mentioning, I mean, I guess I am mentioning it, but the other stuff, like all the Jew stuff, what was his, not Madani, what's his, mixing up with the mayor, the guy who got fucking, Khalil, whatever the fuck. The one dude who got taken from college, and a few other people, and were supposed to get deported. Luckily, those ended up working out well. But point being is, it kind of almost looks like maybe I'm ahead of myself, and I'm someone who can very well give the Hoppe argument for why I can understand why there's an argument for immigration. But it seems like to me, every single time it's used against us. And it kind of looks like, look, we spent this whole episode talking about Palantir. It seems to be that's what they're angling for here. I mean, it seems to be every single time, every single time it comes to fuck us. So I'm just kind of curious, what are your thoughts with this? Because it almost feels like putting more energy into pushing for any sort of immigration, whatever. I mean, I didn't even go into the fact that they also just, he seems like he's softening on that either. So I guess there's a whole other side topic on that. But just do you think I'm right in noticing almost a fell for it again type component here? And if so, what are your thoughts there? I mean, that's even giving that there is a credible reason to want immigration controls. I'm just more of the opinion, the more and more that I'm looking from the outside in, it just looks like every time you empower the government to have such mandates or whatever, that they seem to misuse it. And while it is like,
I don't buy any of this. Like, okay. if let me explain. If you have that mentality that, like, basically, if you empower the government, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. It's going to be to your detriment and never to your benefit, and you don't get anything out of it. Well, then why do you think that it would have been that much different if it was Harris? And like, my answer
that's not the argument. That's not the argument. The argument is just kind of this general pushing for the the energy, any energy pushed into that, it seems like to me is going to be almost a trap that the elites are using to then push into their Palantir shit. Is what it looks like to me.
Okay,
and that's not
my point
so,
is if you and I don't vote for it, does it change? Does that dynamic change? I would say no. Why? Do you think it does?
What do you mean? Because you changed it to vote. Because I wasn't even talking about voting particularly. I just meant generally speaking, putting any sort of, I don't know, pushing for those sorts of things. I don't even know particular, but just generally speaking.
Well,
I guess if you're speaking voting. Okay. Well, I just meant immigration. Everyone, there's a lot of people pushing for immigration controls and stuff right now is the point. And then I'm saying those immigration controls seemingly that push for that mandate that people are getting, which I guess maybe that was where the voting component came in, is that seems to be then manipulated and fucked up into essentially going against you. I mean, at the very least, maybe spinning your wheels, maybe doing minor advantages for an exorbitant prices.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the big beautiful bill, I was loudly opposed to it. I think it's terrible. I think that but I also think that like the open border policy under Biden and the just unmitigated disaster that has been mass immigration into America is really irrefutable. And, for the libertarians, the open borders type that argue that like, well, I don't want the state involved because it's going to be used against you. It's like, all right, yeah, but like open borders are being used against you. So
I agree. Yeah.
So like you're being fucked either way.
Yeah,
so
they fuck you both ways. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I think that the question is like, how do you want to be fucked is really the the better way to look at it. But yeah, I think it's obviously true that the border funding, which is $150 billion, which is more than most militaries on the planet.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking enormous. It's probably like the sixth biggest military on Earth is going to be the immigration system now. So I'm not saying that it's without its downsides. I think it's with major significant risks that like nobody should sleep on. But I also want the border secured and I want as many people deported as possible because I strongly believe that the foundational, like the cultural cohesion that we had as a country has degraded exponentially as a consequence of illegal immigration throughout my lifetime. So I'm torn,
Yeah.
Like I don't have an easy answer. Like if this is some, Rothbardian world or Hoppian world, then I would just go, I'm going to go fucking buy this land and I'm going to wall it off and I'm not going to let people on and I'm going to shoot people that come across. But like, I don't have that option. So what am I going to do? Am I just going to continue to move? I think this is also another thing that comes from my refugee status from the state of California. Like watching your home state get destroyed throughout your lifetime changes you. Like it makes you recognize the pitfalls, like the consequential damage that comes from the ideology of open borders. And also the welfare state, obviously. So I think that there's no easy answers here, but at the end of the day, I don't want to have to continue to move forever. And I don't want to have to leave America either. And I feel like that is kind of where we're headed if we don't try and stop the bleeding.
All right, I promise. I said that was going to be the last one. I lied because you brought something else up. I guess it kind of gets into the immigration more. I'm just curious because you brought the component of the 3X thing in the budget, and then also we pair that with you didn't mention it, but I alluded to earlier that they're softening. I think they're talking about like hospitality workers and fucking farmers or some shit. Which I'll be honest, I'm trying to get into an immigration argument. I'm actually kind of partial to that kind of perspective, but it is a little bit confusing when you pair that with a 3X immigration budget, and then like you're like, wait, what's going on here? I'm seeing these alligator Alcatraz, and it kind of goes to my point before, where it's like, we've had Alex Jones, raving for decades about, they're building the fucking FEMA camps, and then now we have MAGA going, fucking, that's great, alligator Alcatraz, 3X the budget, this is all great, but then we pair that with, oh well, we're not going over. I mean, maybe there's like a shitload of other illegal immigrants that are not, migrant workers or, hospitality workers. But like, I don't know. That seems to be a large contingent, and that seems to kind of undermine this whole idea of now this. Because now, I don't know. Once you have that budget, they got to do something with it. I'm not saying they're going to start rounding up Americans, but I don't know. I mean, we have all this money, facilities. Well, they got to do something. I don't know. It freaks me out a little bit. It's a little bit weird. I don't like it.
Well, this is exactly why I was so outspoken against the the Mayorkas and the Biden policy of having the border wide open is because I understood that the natural response to that would be for the domestic population to become more nativist and more protectionist and more nationalistic and ultimately want more state power utilized to stop this process. But because the Biden administration went so ballistic and they let in like at minimum 10 million, but I think it was 20 million plus in that 4-year period, it's like, now what choice do you have? And it's like, well, this is the problem reaction solution paradigm that they put you in intentionally, right? Like if you want to imagine that there is no left and right, and it's just basically a whipsaw, a teeter-totter that you're put on to get to the goal that they want anyways, well, then here's the mastermind play. You leave the border open so that then the backlash creates the demand for this massive budget for border protection, and then you use those funds to implement Palantir and surveillance and biometrics and the full technological panopticon so that you can basically crush the domestic population or at least suppress them to the point that they're no longer a threat to the powers that be. So I can make both arguments. I don't know what the answer is. No, I don't think anybody necessarily does. But it doesn't change the fact that if you continue with the paradigm of 5 million illegals coming in annually, America is going to be lost, and it'll be lost through the democratic process. So no easy answers, man. It's fun.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's why I said I didn't want this to come off as rubbing your nose in it, because even with the voting thing, like, I don't think it fucking matters. It's kind of like, you see the Rick and Morty thing where it's like, I forget what he's even trying to prove, that you're a piece of shit and I can prove it mathematically, or you don't matter, or whatever. The thing he says, and it's like, you can do that with voting. Like, I know everyone who wants to give you guys shit, it's like, I guess maybe you could maybe add some more points in it because you guys have influence, but generally speaking, like, especially a normal person, you try to quantify the value of their vote, it means fucking nothing. And that's kind of my point, is generally speaking, is like, so like this idea of like rubbing people's noses in like votes or something, you're like, well, I do think there is an argument, there's some psychic vampire shit going on, and I think it's pretty evident with all the mandate that got thrown around the beginning. They take that energy and manipulate it. But even then, even with that in play, you're like, okay, then you contributed 350 millionth of a point towards evil? I mean, I don't know. How do you... Oopsies, just give one Hail Mary, you're good.
I think the better question is, like, does focusing on politics at all, is that a waste of time? Because I don't think like casting your vote, one vote statistically won't change it anyways. So I don't think that's not the crime. Like, if you're doing something bad here, it's, should you be focusing on this at all? And my belief is that yes, you ought to, because it's still information that allows you to model your life to best protect yourself and best, be productive and create a freer lifestyle for yourself. Like, it gives you information by which you can change your behavior to better cushion yourself against the oncoming, hordes or waves, whatever. So I think that's the value in it, but I think that the voting aspect of it is actually quite minimal.
Yes, I agree.
But that's what everybody focuses on, though, is, who you're voting for. It's fucking the biggest deal in the world. Yeah.
I mean, like, especially as an individual person. Now, if you're Joe Rogan advocating people go vote, I guess that does matter a lot. But like
that's what I learned from I didn't, and I still don't think that I have enough influence to make this that big of a deal. But that's what gets held against me, is not that I voted, but that I said I was doing it. And it's like, all right, well, but I'm a political commentator, and I'm being honest with my audience. Like, I was honest with my audience throughout. I said, I'm not telling you to do this. Like, I'm being very fucking clear. I'm just saying, I've decided that I think that the less evil path is to vote for Trump this go around. And I think that it gives us the upside of the populist right-wing movement, which, as you described, kind of matched our energy on many topics. That, like, to ride that wave and see what it could produce makes sense to me. Now, I think on the backs or the downside of that is, like, it didn't deliver. It's giving us a bunch of bad shit. But I still think it's better to have people who agreed with me more, voted in unison with me, and now we get to suffer the consequences together, so that then, like, maybe they'll evolve along with me too, into, like, oh, this system isn't reformable. Oh, we need to focus on states' rights. Oh, we need to focus on secession movements. That's my hope. I have no idea if that'll happen. Maybe they'll just fucking immediately pivot to JD Vance and say, the fact that Epstein, there is no client list is like just evidence that Donald Trump is God, and in fact, he's. I've already heard the 5D chess arguments. People are already saying, well, the reason they're saying the case is closed is because they're using that information to go and round up the pedophiles right now. And I'm like, nigga, have you not learned your lesson after 7 years of this? For real? But
yeah. It's game over, baby. All right, but let's get out of here, bud. We've been here an hour. We've spent plenty of time talking about Palantir. Pleasure having you back on. I'm sure we'll do something again here soon. But yeah, I'll let people know where they can find you, and we'll go ahead and get out of here and do something again sometime soon, I guess.
Sure. Liberty Lockdown is the show. Got a new episode that, because you're watching this later, it just dropped last night, and it is all about case closed. It'll be about the lies of the Epstein case, and I didn't talk about that much here, which is good because I go on a 30-minute rant. Just
did
ballistic.
You dunk all over Michael Tracy?
No, I didn't even talk about Michael Tracy.
Oh, dude, if you go check his feed out after the show. Follow that.
I saw.
Okay.
I saw
you've seen. Okay. Like,
don't
what
think
the fuck is going on here?
I just don't think he's newsworthy, but he's a weird fucking guy. He's a really weird guy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I didn't know he was so opinionated about the Epstein case.
I know, he's super strange, dude. But basically, I just rip everybody to shreds. So if you need a cathartic, just diatribe, I got you.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, man. Appreciate you coming on. For those who want to support what I'm doing, if you don't want to chip any money, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Those actions go a long way. You can also follow me on Twitter at TerraGangJose. If you want to support me with money, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level, $2. You get access to early episodes just like this one. Try to keep about 4 or so at a time behind the paywalls. You get weeks of access. You also get access to the Telegram. You also get access to an ad-free, I kind of fucked it up, ad-free RSS feed. And also, you get access to the pre-show and priority for the call-ins of me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead. Hi, so those are my sponsors. Read them off every episode. It's a big thank you. My former co-host on Terra Gang at Terra Gang Toad. Also at AbrogatoDs at ZOVRECK at _Invisiel. Tim Tuttle at John Klebold. Will Bell. It's delicious blueberry rabbit eye wine. Big fan of the show. Torrin May and Jordan Pearson. With that, we are out of here. Love you all. See you again next time. Bye-bye.